So I have a little bit of a problem. I would love to be able to call myself a minimalist. And I've tried really hard to get rid of possessions and have a capsule wardrobe or no messes and just have this perfect, aesthetically pleasing life that will make me happy and help me be productive. And then real life sets in and that dream just disappears into non-existence. Typically, the state of my possessions reflects my state of mind. And as you can tell, my nice, perfect bedroom has turned into a war zone. A lot of this had to do with school finishing up. For those of you who don't know already, I did graduate in 2 years. However, because of some problems with my schedule, my classes had to extend past graduation date. And so I ended up having to add on a lot of condensed courses last minute in the last semester of college in order to graduate. They're all done now, thankfully. I'm just waiting for my final grades. But that process and taking those finals took a huge toll on me. A lot of stress, a lot of pressure, and clearly my room shows that. I'm not a minimalist, not as much as I would like to be, and I don't have a perfect room. But there are some tricks and things that I have learned from trying to be more minimalistic with my possessions, and that's what I really want to focus on today. Before we get started though, just a quick disclaimer: being a minimalist is not the same as being a perfectionist or being OCD about how your room looks. I know you can go through Instagram and you can see all these perfect, aesthetically pleasing bedrooms that belong to minimalists, but oftentimes that's not the case. And real life is a lot more messy. So we're gonna go into what it actually means to begin that journey into minimalism and what changes I have noticed. So let's go ahead and get started. So as I've said, I have just begun this process within the last few years or so, and I'm nowhere near the point I want to be at. But one thing I noticed very early on is that the less possessions you have, the easier it is to clean. Now, this makes sense, but it's not something we think about intuitively. At least I didn't. When your square footage of space does not change, but the possessions you fill that space with, it decrease, you obviously have more space to put things in. And this was and is probably the biggest advantage to minimalism for me. Right now, I am still living at home. I share a bedroom, so I have very small amount of space. I have half a closet, the space under my bed, and then half of some cubbies in my room to put things in. And that's most of my things, and that's most of my space. So for me, being able to limit the number of possessions I have in order to fit them all nicely where they need to go is a huge advantage. And when I have to clean quickly and put everything away, it's so much easier because I know that there's more square footage for storage than there are things. So I can shove things where they need to go quickly and easily. I don't have to worry about it always looking perfect because that cleanup is easier. The second thing I've noticed since starting minimalism is that all of my possessions have a place where they belong. And this is not something I predetermined before I began minimalizing my things. But what I noticed is that as I was minimalizing, I needed to know how much I had of certain objects, how many shoes I have, how many shirts do I have. And so through that process, I began sorting things by possession, what type of objects they were. And now all of my things are very sorted and I know where everything belongs. I think part of that too is just by having less things, I'm more aware of the things I do have. But it's definitely a nice advantage because I can find things easier. And I have a lot of things going on, so I don't always remember where I put things. If I had $1 for every time I lost my wallet or my phone, I would be a millionaire by now. And so having this system makes it so easy for me to know where things belong and find them when I need to. And it's just much more calming because everything has a place where they belong. The third thing I love about minimalism is that all of my objects that I have more value now. I don't just buy whatever I want at any given moment. Everything that I have has special value in my life. As I continue my journey through minimalism, it's getting harder to get rid of things. And that's because the things that I'm keeping and holding on to have value to me. I am constantly reflecting on what I have and if I'm using it, and if I don't use it, then I get rid of it. And so through this process, what's left are things of value, things that are important. And I really think that's such a cool thing about minimalism, is it's not just devaluing objects, but it's prioritizing objects of value and keeping those front and center and not allowing them to get lost in the clutter and the mess of all of those invaluable objects that we just like to keep. And finally, I would just say that minimalism has taught me that objects don't define me. And I know it sounds a little cliche, but it can be difficult to separate yourself from what you're wearing, or from what your room looks like, or if your space looks as nice as any other space. And again, with minimalism, there are a lot of people who post these beautiful, perfect rooms or locations and things, and you can still get that feeling of inadequacy. But I have found that minimalism has helped me completely dissociate myself from what I own. Again, I'm not defined by my clothes or my possessions, and that's very freeing for me. It's allowed me to save more money, put money aside for things that matter, instead of feeling the need to chase the latest trend. And I would really encourage this journey for anybody who feels like they have too many things, or like their objects are taking too much time away from their lives. So this is the start of my journey through minimalism. I definitely want to stick with it, and I encourage you to stick with it as well, or to get started with it if you haven't even started yet. Keep in mind that it's not an easy process, but it is so worth it, just for the advantage of not having such a messy room all the time, or being able to quickly clean it when you need to. And just realize that there's more than what you own, and you don't have to be defined by what you own. And by freeing yourself from those mental and material constraints, you will be able to find the time and the money and the energy to pursue things that actually matter in your life. So that's minimalism from me right now. We will see how this continues, but for now, I'm loving it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have tried minimalism and had similar experiences, or maybe different ones, feel free to leave a comment and let me know how that's going for you. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day.